Good morning, Mark Frederic, Le Chocuti Anglais. Got a bit of a frog in my throat. Having had a chest infection for a few months over the Christmas period, etc. I thought I was all over it, and now I'm coughing again, and I've got some kind of cold. So, God, never ending. So, excuse me. It's down on my chest now. I wanted to touch base with you today to try and influence. God, terrible. I want to try and influence British farmer butchers, or those that fall into that category in some way, shape, or form. Because I often see on social media, in particular Facebook, that a lot of farmer butchers are shouting out the best of British. The best of British doesn't get better than this best of British. And I'm thinking, oh my God. And each and every time it tends to be because they've bought in some continental cattle and had them slaughtered for beef. Nothing wrong with continental breeds of cattle. In fact, some of them are quite good. And some of the French breeds in particular that are saturated in Britain now, particularly the Limousin breed. They do finish well, they look superb, they're well formed, that get graded out really well, and when they're taken to market and they're given a nice shave, they look mighty impressive. And of course, a lot of the British farmer butchers are buying these because they can't breed enough cattle themselves or finish enough cattle themselves. So they go to market, and in doing so, they shout out to the rooftops. They've bought the best, and undoubtedly they have, because that's only what's available at the markets is continental breeds in the main. It gets worse. There's a lot of shitty stuff as well. A lot of crossbreeds. You just can't tell what's in them sometimes. And they're not just like one-time crosses. They can be as much as 4, 5, 6 times crosses, and you just lost the lines altogether. But they stand out a mile. They're poor in comparison. There's nothing wrong with the continental breeds, all right? But if you're going to shout about it's the best of British, then please consider, particularly as your farmers, please consider farming, rearing, breeding, buying into finish British native breeds. I'm saying this to help you because I think there's a bit of a turn going on in the marketplace. People are turning more and more towards British native breeds, and you need to jump on the wagon here. I know it can't happen overnight, all right, and you've got to plan almost like a few years in advance. But think about making a start, one animal at a time. Get them on your farm, particularly the native breeds, where you can boast about what they are, why you've got them. Maybe you're doing some form of what do you call it? Conservation, grazing, things like that. Shout about that, and that your animals are grass fed, and during the winter time, for a lot of the breeds, they can be indoors and still fed grass in different forms. So you can still claim grass fed. I mean, if you have to finish on grain, then, so be it, but I would choose not to. But the important thing here, you need to think about starting to make a switch towards British native breeds. They're going to help your business in the future. Otherwise, people are going to overtake you and they're going to seize the marketplace, the number one slot. I would say to you, if you're butchers and you need a lot of beef, you need to turn over a lot of beef, and you've got no option but to go to market and buy, the continental breeds, in particular, like the Limousin, they seem to be rife, but they are good. But for many reasons, I don't believe they're as good as British native breeds, or some of British native breeds, and and they're the best on the day when you go to market. It just happens to be they're continental breeds. So, I get your enthusiasm when you buy these animals, and you may even take them back to your own farm, for a week or two before sending them to slaughter, or they may go straight to slaughter. Who knows? But you all run your businesses differently. So so I get it. They look smart, they finish well, they're well ranked. They offered a lot, the Continentals. I think they miss out on a lot of other things, like taste, for one thing. Sometimes the Continentals have got too much muscle definition, and so anyway, I could go on and find loads of negatives, but I don't want to make this video into a negative. Let's try and make it into a positive. And I urge you, as farmers, to think about, like I said, one animal at a time, to start introducing British native breeds into your farm butchery business. If you can do pedigrees, wow, that's even better. But I'll leave that up. I'll leave that up to you. You'll find in a few years' time that you'd made the right decision. So farm British native breeds, and then put them into your butchery business when they're ready. And if you have to, in order for your butchery business to to survive, not survive, but to flourish at this moment in time, then continue to buy the best from the market. And if that happens to be Continentals, then so be it. But it'd be really nice if you've just made that separate step in your farming side of the business to start introducing British native breeds, because you're going to need them. Trust me, you're going to need them. So heed this advice if you don't mind. Of course, it's only my opinion, and a lot of you, I know you won't agree, but that's fine. All right. Don't worry if you disagree. Just don't get on your high horse about it. And I know there's one or two farmer butchers out there on Facebook who can't take advice because they want to be they want to be proud of the fact they've made every decision themselves. That's fine if you want to ignore this advice. And again, I'm using a negative word. If you don't want to take this advice, that's fine. That's your take on things. But for those of you who are open-minded, what's it going to cost you? And yet you've got a lot to gain from it. Look, I better shut up. But I hope one or two of you, heed what I've said, and it'll go a long way. And I'll just finish with this: British native breeds, especially today. When you put your catering head on, all right, if you're in the food and hospitality business, portion size is critical, because very often meals are costed, and things have to fall under a certain cost to become viable in a restaurant. So if you've got the right portion size, so a steak that's not too big, but you can cut it to the right thickness, It comes out at a price and fits the food and hospitality business to a treat. Do some research on it. I've been there donkey's years, so I know what I'm talking about. And if any of you want to contact me, by all means, do that, and I'll explain further. But just think about that portion size, all right? So British native breeds are the best of British, all right? Thank you for listening. Toodaloo. Oh, if you don't mind, can you buy me a coffee? Links down below.